In this video, I'm going to explain all 19 variable types in Unreal Engine in under 4 minutes. Variables are used in computer programming to store data. And in most programming languages, including C++, which Unreal uses, you need to specify what kind of data you intend to store in the variable. The reason for this is that different types of data require different amounts of memory to store. So by knowing what kind of data will be stored, the computer can allocate enough space to hold any one of the possible values for that kind of data. Alright, so let's get started. First is the Boolean data type. This is the simplest and smallest of all the data types, as it can only contain one of two possible values, either true or false. Next is the byte data type. This data type can store a whole number between 0 and 255. The integer data type can store a whole number between about -2 billion and +2 billion. The Integer64 data type can store a whole number between about -9 quintillion and +9 quintillion. The float data type is used to store any number that isn't whole, so any number with a decimal point. The name data type is used to store text that is meant to identify objects within the game or within code. This is as opposed to, for example, text that is meant to display on the screen. The string data type is used to store text that you can perform manipulation functions on, such as extracting a substring of text from the larger portion, changing the case of the text, meaning uppercase or lowercase, reversing the text, and so on. The text data type is used to store text that will be displayed on the screen. It includes features specifically for this purpose, such as localization, which allows text to display customized to each player's region or language. The vector data type is used to store 3 float values. This is commonly needed when dealing with 3D space, as it can be used to store any data that has a value for each of the 3 axes, x, y, and z. For example, an object's location or scale. But it can also be used for anything that is defined with 3 values, such as RGB color values. The Rotator data type also stores 3 float values, however, it is specifically for describing an object's rotation in 3D space. As such, each of its values is meant to represent the number of degrees, between 0 and 360, that an object is rotated around that axis. The transform data type is used to store an object's location, rotation, and scale in 3D space. So it is actually made up of 2 vector values and a rotator value. A structure can hold multiple pieces of data of all different types, so it can be made up of any combination of all the types we've seen so far. We just saw 3 built-in structures, the vector, rotator, and transform data types, but you can also create your own custom structures. And enumeration is another custom type. With enumerations, you manually define all of the possible values that it can be set to. For example, you could create an enumeration called Day of the Week and specify that it can only hold one of 7 possible values, either Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, etc. An interface variable can store a reference to an interface asset. Interfaces require a lengthy explanation to understand, but the quick definition is that they are a collection of empty functions that only have a name, inputs, and/or outputs. A class variable can store a reference to a blueprint. An object variable can store a reference to an instance of a blueprint. An array can store a list of data that is all the same type. So you can have a list of any of the types we've seen so far, such as a list of integers, a list of objects, and so on. A set is also a list of data that is all the same type. The difference is that sets are unordered, can't store duplicate values, are slightly faster to perform operations on, and can't use the Boolean, text, or rotator data types. And finally, a map is a list of unordered pairs of data. The 2 elements in a pair can be of the same data type, or they can be of different data types. However, every pair in the list must have the same data type combination. So, for example, you could have a list of string integer pairs. Alright, so that was all 19 variable types in Unreal Engine in under 4 minutes. If you'd like to learn about variables in detail, along with many other topics, check out my Unreal Engine Beginners course. You can find links in the description. And I'm always running promos, so also look for promo codes in the description and make sure you take advantage of those so you don't pay full price.